free press is essential to a free society. This is something that, since we discussed the Constitution and studied it extensively, you understand as part of the First Amendment to the Constitution. It is an aspect of freedom of speech, which is that a free press will not be unduly limited by a government or any other institution in society from doing its job. And what is the job of a free press? Well, ideally, the free press is supposed to investigate and report incidents in the wider world to their readership or to their viewership if it's media. That means that classically, reporters investigate everything. A local paper like the Coeur d'Alene Press would investigate matters that affect the city of Coeur d'Alene, Kootenai County, and most intensely, the Spokane Coeur d'Alene region in less emphasis, and Western and Northwestern and American and international affairs with much less focus. Because it's a local paper, it's going to be oriented locally, and it's going to have reporters that investigate, report on incidents and issues that happen to us here at a local level. The Spokane Spokesman Review is going to be more of a regional paper. It's not just the city of Spokane, it's them, but it's also the region. Whereas the San Francisco Times or the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal or Fox News or CNN, they're going to have a much bigger view. Like the BBC, they're going to be a national and an international news service. So to do this, the press needs to have access. If there's a car accident, the press needs to be able to get access to report if there's something newsworthy about it. Not all car accidents are newsworthy, but some are. If there is a political crisis, the reporters need access to the people involved. If there's a notorious crime, reporters are going to need access to the people involved to try to interview them and ask them questions. So the police and the government, as a matter of course, are going to be willing to, because they have to, accept that reporters are going to have something to do with their lives. And they're going to want access to the crime scenes and to the stories of the day. To be a reporter is a fairly difficult job. You need to be tough as nails, and you need to be courageous about going after powerful people, but you also need to be scrupulously fair. That's the way it's supposed to be. So, a lot of people have their opinions of the world shaped by a free press. Now, the press also has opinions like anyone else. So, traditionally, in a newspaper or on television, there's a role for reporters who report the straight news without distortion, we hope, and for columnists. And a columnist or a commentator is somebody who thinks about the news and offers an opinionated interpretation of the meaning of it all. A columnist or a commentator is not tasked to tell you what is going on. They're telling you what they think about what's going on. And they're good enough at expressing an interesting opinion in an entertaining fashion that's also clear to make a living at it. Not many people can do that. So the press, in addition to being uniquely tasked in our society to continue to educate adults, adults don't usually go to school all the time, but they listen to the media and they read the newspapers. They educate themselves through the press. So the press has an influence. That means they have a responsibility. Now, if a person's interested in the opinions of various people, they'll go to the editorial page. A lot of my ideas, actually, when I was exactly your age, were influenced by reading the letters to the editor and the political columns on the editorial pages of my old newspaper, the Record Journal, in Meriden, Connecticut, and Wallingford, Connecticut, every morning. I would read the newspaper over breakfast, and I'd watch the news every day. And yeah, it was strange. But you get the idea. The press can help shape opinions and shape views. That's why, if the press fails to do that, fails to be impartial, fails to be straight, it's such a problem. There's no problem with people expressing opinions as columnists and commentators. There's a serious problem when reporters interpret factual news stories with a political spin. There's even a bigger problem when the managers and editors of newspapers and television news stations and internet news stations are driven not by a desire to report the facts in a fair and objective manner, but instead they want to influence public opinion. That is a temptation that I am ashamed to say many modern media outlets and newspapers have given into. Instead of being a clear pane of glass through which the facts come from the wider world to the individual reader or viewer, the straight news section of TV, internet, and newspaper has become a distorting lens designed to shape public opinion. That's not what it's for. We'll continue next time.